Hello, my name's Michael Conneely and I'm bringing you this video from the beautiful west of Ireland, and it's about the great Saturn Jupiter Pluto conjunction that is dominating October 2020, and it's actually part 2 of our October Starwheel Astrology and Healing newsletter. So Saturn turned direct after a long retrograde on September the 29th at 1 degree Vedic Capricorn. Saturn had actually been retrograding since the 11th of May. He turned retrograde at 7 Capricorn, and like all planets, Saturn, like all planets, carves his demands and his energies more deeply in a retrograde period, so that we can rectify where we're not living up to that facet of the divine. And as a planet slows down around the time when it goes from retrograde to direct, or of course from direct to retrograde, then the slower the speed of that planet, the more vastly deeply he carves his energies. So, my experience of Saturn stationing and all through the retrograde from May is that he demanded I tie up all the loose ends. He demanded that I shed parts of my life that must no longer be part of my life. He demanded that I shed a multiplicity of activities that were too much and would have harmed my health. He opened my eyes to seeing how certain ways I perceived myself, and also the energies, the planetary energies going on around me, were wrong, had been instilled by my upbringing or this society. And so as Saturn's divine gift, he opened my eyes. Now Saturn offers us all this so that we can experience golden reaping. If we can live up to Saturn's imperatives, and remember they're ever so strong in the Sade period, the 7.5-year period when Saturn goes across your natal moon, then what we experience is actually golden reaping. But it can make us weep and be so sorry to have to let go of the parts of ourselves and the definitions of ourselves that we must no longer cling on to. Okay, so Saturn has now started to move very, very, very slowly forward. And this permits us to gradually take on strategies that have survived the demands of his scythe. Remember, he was an agricultural deity, to cut out what should no longer be part of our life. And remember, the scythe is used to bring about the harvest. So, we each of us need to look at the demands of Saturn's pressurizing and often sadness creating retrograde to see what he's particularly after from us at this time. So you look at the house in your birth chart that Capricorn is, and you'd look at the life areas that Saturn is an indicator for. And so in my chart, Capricorn is the 7th house of marriage. So marriage and commitment, strong and good. But of course you also have to look at the nature of the sign that Saturn is transiting in, and of course that's Capricorn. Indeed, the sign he rules, so he is super strong, ultra strong at this time, this long transit. But you also have to look at the life areas that Saturn is a character or indicator for longevity, life and death issues, profession, karma, conduct, service, disease, poverty, trouble, old age, dishonour. Obviously a long list of possibilities. Saturn in Capricorn is also about life and death issues and generations, those in the generation above, those in the generations below. And in your own life, Saturn is about proper order, patience, diligence and structure. And also be aware that the negative features of Capricorn include fear. Saturn in Capricorn include fear, cynicism and inhibition. So the whole point is, it may seem that your life is breaking up now at this time, and I've had loads of requests for readings over the last 2 weeks, and from the emails people are sending me, their lives are breaking up. But actually, it's not our life that is breaking up. Basically, we are breaking up. And it's not really actually we who is breaking up. It is the false you, the false me that is breaking up. Because really, under the pressure of Saturn's energies, we are breaking up so as to transcend, so as to evolve. That's such an important thing. It's now our chance to put the right pieces in place in our identity, our life strategies, our life path. Let us each try to see how we have a chance of becoming who we were born to be. And indeed, that is the gift of these terrible, weird times. Become. See where what you are breaking are your prison walls. And what you are breaking is your darkness. Let your dawn come in and shine. Yes. Find your bliss. So Saturn continues direct until the 23rd of May 2021, when he turns retrograde at 19 degrees Vedic Capricorn. Okay, the next feature is to look at Jupiter Saturn and what differences they are. Actually, something very big is coming up, because on the 21st of December, Jupiter and Saturn actually achieve conjunction. So Jupiter is obviously moving behind Saturn, but moving faster than Saturn. And so on the 21st of December, Jupiter catches up with Saturn, and the Jupiter-Saturn conjunction is actually huge. It is the start of a 60-year unfoldment of the balance of Jupiter energies and Saturn energies in the world, and therefore in our life. It's called the Samvatsara cycle. And so this sets a scene for human society and for each of us humans for the next 60 years. And so it's about the combination of Saturn's restrictive and rightful demands and Jupiter's expansive and rightful demands and gifts. And it starts off at 6 Capricorn. And so work out, is there a planet you have at, close to 6 Capricorn, even perhaps your yogi point, which would be very wonderful. This sets a scene for your life. Try and understand it. Now, Jupiter and Saturn were last conjunct in Capricorn on the 20th of February 1961. That was at 2 degrees Capricorn. And so I looked back and I looked at what happened to me in that year, and the insight was very useful and applicable to me now, 60 years on. And then it was all about expressing my brilliance, having just started secondary school, and not letting my brilliance expression be undermined by lack of confidence and, being done down and all that type of thing. Developing the strength to manifest my brilliance. And that's been an issue in my life. Certainly it was at that age, and indeed, later on in my life. I'm not being boastful then, it's just that academically I have it in me to be quite brilliant. So I was sort of top of the first year at the secondary school, which, God help me, was a Catholic grammar school with all the laden pressures to become a Catholic priest. But it manifested again when I won a scholarship to Oxford and I actually got 5 degrees. Okay, it's my chance again, and this time I've got to have the self-presence and the confidence in myself to, yes, do my best to manifest my talents and what could be called my brilliance, but obviously for the greater good and to share it with others. Okay, let's move on to Jupiter at these times. So Jupiter went direct on September the 13th at 23 Sagittarius. And I felt the great purpose and blessing and lucky breakthroughs coming through when Jupiter went direct. But unfortunately, we have to realise that Jupiter's heyday is short, it is limited. Because on the 20th of November, Jupiter enters Vedic Capricorn, and Capricorn is the sign of Jupiter's debilitation. So this is like our last chance of Jupiterian expansion. From the 20th of November, Saturn rules. 2019 was Jupiter dominant. The two have been, yes, in balance so far in 2020. But from the 20th of November 2020, we move into Saturn. And the age of Saturn is now on us for many months. Jupiter enters Vedic Aquarius on the 6th of April 2021. Now Aquarius, which is also Saturn ruled, doesn't give Jupiter strong dignity either, but it is a more humanitarian energy than Jupiter in Capricorn, and that could be important for bringing in humanitarian things after what horrors really may come about socially during the period when Jupiter is in Capricorn, but with all the other things going on, particularly in the United States. And another positive thing about Jupiter's energy to know about is that Jupiter doesn't again turn retrograde until the 20th of June 2021. Okay, the next thing is, and this is so massive, Jupiter-Pluto. This is a huge twist to the tail happening now. And as I said, the Saturn Jupiter-Pluto combination have not been where they are for about 600 years. I did a blog about this, I can't remember the exact date when they were last there. And in a sense, Jupiter and Pluto are like a time bomb. They will smash at Saturnian limits and Saturnian prison walls. And of course, it could be in a very negative way. Jupiter's getting into closer and closer conjunction with the ultimate power of Pluto, and Jupiter-Pluto are fully conjunct on the 12th of November at 28 degrees Sagittarius. And I'd like to draw on Reinhold Ebertin's buzzwords really for what Jupiter-Pluto is about. So he says, desire for power and plutocracy. Now each of us, therefore, should be prepared to come more fully into our own power, our proper power. But of course, at the hyper-government level, there will be plutocratic, earth-shaking demands for wealth and power. At the psychological level, Jupiter-Pluto is the striving for power in spiritual, material or mental spheres. And yes, the desire to lead the masses, and of course that can be positive and loving, or it can be devastatingly dictatorial. It's the need, ultimately, for social and religious regeneration, spiritual intellectual leadership. But negatively, it can be the pursuit of fanatical aims, the desire to exploit the masses, and wastefulness. And this is important. The USA has Pluto returning to its natal position in the birth chart for July the 4th, 1776. And so it's the Pluto return for the USA. This is significant. Darkness is now surfacing, as darkness does surface with Pluto transits and Pluto returns. And the USA was born out of a horrific occupation where the indigenous peoples were obviously treated appallingly and inhumanly. And that is surfacing to be addressed now. But not just the matter of the indigenous peoples, important though that is. The pressure is to create a more humane society in the USA. It's obviously born on colonizer and cowboy ethics. And it's in like an immature country compared to like most of the countries in Europe. And so, you know, the rah-rah-rah of the cowboy, no disrespect to cowboys, needs to go out of politics, and a respectful society to come in. Now, interestingly, on the 1st of October full moon, Mars is square the Jupiter-Pluto-Saturn conjunction. So I said that Jupiter-Pluto is like an atomic bomb, but it has Mars squared it. There is such violence here. And in the blog associated with this part 2 video for October 2020, look at the shifting aspectations from Mars onto Saturn, Jupiter and Pluto. And it would be good to be aware of what they are and what date they are, because these energies will be palpable. Okay, so Jupiter enters Capricorn on the 20th of November, Pluto enters Capricorn on the 30th of December. An era ends, the Sagittarius era ends, the Capricorn era rules. Given the nature of the sign Capricorn, they could, in its very structured way, with limits and so forth, bring in a very plutocratic structure and energy. But the flip side of the combination of Pluto to Jupiter-Saturn could be an energy that smashes wrong established structures, hopefully in a careful, democratic way. And so the time has now come. There's a big chance. And of course, as the outcome is in process, both sides of that dichotomy will manifest: repressive established structures and explosive rebellion. And the USA is going to be the main world arena, I feel, for the enactment of those two opposing facets in the Jupiter-Saturn-Pluto conjunction in Vedic Capricorn. Okay, you can go on to the next video, which is about, well, particularly about Mercury retrograde and its effect on the November 2020 presidential election. It's big, don't miss it. But also about the nodes changing sign, what's going on with Mars. So, carry on listening, please, with part 3. Thank you.